and thinking that I. What's up, everyone? Board Cards back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be taking you guys through my process in real time of how I would try to find cards on eBay for grading and determining whether they're worth buying for grading, determining whether I think they're in good enough condition for grading, and also a little bit about which player I might choose to try to grade. Actually, to make this really in real time, what I'm going to do, and I do mostly basketball, so I'm just going to pull up all the NBA teams and I'm actually going to close my eyes and choose a team. So let me do that real quick. I'm closing my eyes right now, whichever one I land on. And okay. I landed on the Rockets. Okay. So, how would I go about if I had to choose a player on the Rockets? Which one would I choose? Well, in my mind, usually players that you want to be trying to sell are players that you see the most in the news, the ones uh, that have some hype around them, or if you have like a real hunch about a player and you feel like, oh, you don't really see much about them, but they really are that much better than what maybe the consensus is, and you think that they can prove that quickly, like within the next year, that could be a way to go also. So who am I going to choose on the Rockets? Um, I think there's a few good choices because they have a lot of good young players. I know they have they've got Cam Whitmore most recently, but they've got Jalen Green. They've got who else? Shengun, Alperen Shengun. That might be a good choice. Um, Actually, the guy who's I'm really thinking of and falls into that category of like, I think he's actually better and might prove to be better than people think this year is Jabari Smith Jr. Um, he was, I forget what he was. He was like a top five pick a couple years ago. So that's the player I'm going to target here for this example. So how would I start? Let's say I want Jabari Smith Jr. rookies, and I know he was in the he was in the 2022 class. Okay, so how would I start? Well, I use Card Ladder, and the first thing I'm going to show is how I use Card Ladder. So for Jabari Smith, um, I would want to be targeting his Prism rookies, and for most players, especially players that have recent rookie years, I would suggest targeting Prism rookies. Whether you target, well, I would try to target parallels and not base cards, meaning uh, like a card that's not just a base card, but maybe some sort of ice. Depending on the player, maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be um, a numbered card, but let's just look at his silver prism because that's always a good place to start. So Jabari Smith, silver prism, 2022, and that's going to give me his sales history here. So actually, wow, I didn't expect it to be this cheap. So his silver prism is only going for $4. Let's see if I can find any more raw ones to make sure that's correct. And I'm getting a bunch of different types of silver now. So to narrow it down, I see that this one that I'm really looking for is number 228. So I'm just going to type 228 here. That'll narrow me down. There we go. Wow. Um, so yeah, raw they are going for. I see one for 9. I see one for 140. You always want to make sure that like this. See, this one's a base card. I can tell. This one wasn't even a silver, so that's why it went for 140. But sometimes people mislabel them. This one was a true silver. It looks like so. It went for 9. 9. Okay, so we're looking whatever somewhere in the $5 to $10 range. And here's another option, a $4 ice. Now I don't want to do now that I have an idea of how much these silvers are going for in raw and how much I should be looking to buy them for on eBay. I want to see if it makes sense to buy them because I don't want to just randomly buy raw cards and not even know how much I could make if they got a 9 or if they got a 10 or whatever. So now I'm going to type in same thing, but I'm just gonna add PSA. So I start getting PSA, and oh, I got rid of the 228. Let me put the 228 back. Okay. All right, so I'm seeing a PSA 9's going for, and now the nice thing with Card Ladder, what I can do, I click on this 9, I go down here, view sales of the card, I can go actually do same grade, and now it's automatically based on, I think it's based on actually certs, the PSA certification number. It's just giving me the PSA 9s. So I can see that the PSA 9s are going for anywhere from about $10 to $20, pretty reliably. Okay. And I like to start with looking at the PSA 9s because I'm hoping and thinking that that's my baseline. So if I bought this card and graded it, and let's say on average, I'm buying it for, it looks like maybe $8 or something, and I'm grading it for maybe on average, including fees and everything, say $19. I can expect to be into a silver of a Jabari Smith. What did I say? 19 plus 8. So for about $27. So if I did that and I got a 9, which would be what I'm hoping would be the worst case scenario, it looks like I'd be on track to lose anywhere from, I don't know, $10 to $15 maybe, right? Based on these PSA 9 sales. Okay, so I know that's kind of my floor is on the whole. I buy one of these, I grade it, I lose about $10 to $15. Okay, now let's get PSA 10s. Let's see what the upside is here. Let me get rid of that PSA. All right. So I can already tell this isn't going to be what I want to be doing because, oh no, never mind. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This one says Prism Silver, but look at that. It's not a silver, that's a base. Right? I was almost fooled by that. So actually maybe it is something that could be worth doing because I'm seeing this one, a real silver, is going for, it went for $80. Now let's filter again by same grade. All right, now I have the silver 10s, 75, 80, 65, 65. And I'm actually going to go back a while to see, like, is there like a ceiling on this card? Like, was he more hyped at some point? Like you see, and now we're getting back towards when closer to the release of the card, so that it usually tends to have higher prices then. But it's been really just steady in that 70 to 80 to $90 range. Some outliers. It looks like it went in the 50s for a little bit, but right now, 70s, 80s. Really steady, really steady. So I would feel pretty confident that if I got a 10, I could get about 70 to $75 for the card. Okay, so we said that raw, it was looking at around $8 or $9, and with the grading, it was looking at about $28. And we're saying that selling, it could be about anywhere maybe from, yeah, let's say the $65 to $80 range. So let's call it 70. All right. Would I consider this worth it? I think I would. $27 in, $70 out. Take away 10. I'm just gonna make it a rough estimate because I don't feel like pulling up the calculator. Take away 10%, even though it's really more like 13%, for an eBay fee because I sell on eBay. So I would be expecting to get back out of it about $60 minus the 28, which would be about 30. And that's good because that would mean basically I'm having an opportunity after all fees to double my money on the play. And the downside, the risk of a 9 is only minus 10. So basically it was a minus 10 risk and a plus 30 to 35 reward. And I like those odds. Well, I think I like those odds. Actually, the next step here would be to see what the gem rate is. And Card Ladder happens to make that really easy too. So I'm looking at a PSA 10. I can actually just click this little book button and it shows me the pop. Okay, and it shows me the gem rate, 57%. So yeah, I do like this play. because it's basically a 3-to-1 risk to reward, and I have a greater than 50% chance of getting that reward. And I feel like my ability to look at centering, which I'm going to go through in a minute, my ability to look at centering and to kind of examine the card even online puts my actual gem rate probably above what the average gem rate is. Um, so to me, this is a play that's worth it. And actually, if I see a card that if I find one that I feel is worth buying, I'll buy it right now. Because I do think that the play is pretty good, and I like Jabari Smith for this next year. I want to show you, just in case you don't have Card Ladder, because Card Ladder is a subscription service. I like it, but I know not everyone's going to get it. This website is called gemrate.com. And what I could do is just go to population data, year breakdown, and I can go to 2022. Basketball, because 2022 is the year of that card, and it is Prism. And actually, it's interesting because the overall gem rate that year was 49%, but the gem rate on that card, even for silver, was over 50. So that's an interesting thing to note. But yeah, so that's where I would go. And if you want to just kind of go with that rough estimate and say, okay, it's probably around 49%, that's fine. If you want to go a little deeper, you can actually just type in the guy's name here. So this is Jabari, and you'll get all the Jabaris, all the billion parallel. Look at them all the parallels of Jabari, and I tend to actually just look at that specific parallel, because if you might notice that certain parallels just grade better for whatever reason, and this is a big enough sample that I'm like, okay, you know what, the silver prism gem rate is significantly different than the base, right? It is. Usually this isn't the case, that silver is easier to gem than regular, but that is the case here. So you can really break it down in that way. And I'll just show you this too. Let me get rid of the name, just in case you're ever like looking through a set. And this is something different than I'm doing right now, but let's just say like I really was interested in, I like Obsidian. Okay, let's say I was really interested in grading an Obsidian card, but the gem rate is pretty low, right? The gem rate is only 37%, but I wanted to find a card that I could grade out of 2022 Obsidian. What I could do is I could switch to Parallel View. Parallel View is going to show me all, not for a specific player, unless I type the name, but it's going to show me all the parallels and the gem rates for that specific parallel, right? So I wouldn't be choosing necessarily, although I have graded this before and done okay, but I wouldn't be choosing this one because it's 38%. But let's see. Oh, look at this. There's one with 67%. So if I really wanted to grade that Obsidian, I might look for this Electric Etch White Pulsar, which those are really cool, by the way. Anyway, but you have, so even within a set, you can take a look at the gem rates, and it can kind of help guide you as far as what kind of risk reward you're actually taking on when you go to grade the card. I hope that's clear. If anyone has questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, so at this point, I've chosen a card. And if I really wanted to take longer, I might go through and look at other parallels of the Jabari Smith rookie prism, and I might see if there's any other ones that have like a better risk reward. Like, oh, maybe for whatever reason the red ice is going for more than the silver prism, and so is the PSA 9 or so. So I might take a little more time and look through more parallels. I'm not going to do that right now. The silvers are pretty good. All right, now let's look for a silver on eBay. So I'm going to type Jabari Smith Jr. rookie silver prism. What number was it again? It was number 228. So I'm going to type all that in. All right. And it's giving me a fast break at the top here. I want the regular silver. All right, so we said that we were looking for around like $5 to $10 ideally. Here's the best offer at 20. I wouldn't buy it for 20, but um, if I can determine that this is a nice one, I might put in an offer on it. So the first thing I'm doing at first glance is looking for centering. Now I'm pretty good at just kind of being able to see the centering, but this one looks good. The centering looks good. I'm looking at top to bottom, looks good. On these 2022s, you can kind of use the space between the dots and the edge as a way. It looks about the same distance on both sides to me. Um, so I like the centering. I don't. It's in a top loader, and always the hardest part is going to be figuring out the whether the surface is okay. Um, so you can't tell for sure because you don't know what scratches are on the top loader, what's dust, what's what. But to me, it looks like the card might be pretty good. I'm looking at the back too. The back, I'm gonna focus on corners. What's that? See, these are the things like I think that's probably just like a hair or something, but you never know. Um, corners look pretty good. I am gonna look around the whole card. Sometimes you might be able to see a little discoloration or indent. I don't see anything that I don't think is that I think is like not dust or something like that. So this one's nice. I might put in an offer on it, but I just want to show just in case you don't really have the eye for centering. Here's what I would do. All right. So I'm taking a screenshot right now. Okay. I just took a screenshot of the card, and now I'm going to another tool. This one is called the edgegrading.com, and you go to centering tool. Click centering tool, and I'm going to select the image that I just took and use this image, and this will tell you what the centering is. Now I'm not going to be able to get it perfect because the photo on this is tilted, and so you can't really use this perfectly if it's not if it's tilted, but I'll just show you how you would use the tool. So if it is tilted, okay, so here's what, so this one is for the kind of inside, and I'm gonna go, you just have to pick a certain spot to go from. So I'm gonna look at this line here, and I'm gonna go from right where this line kind of bends. So I'm gonna try to get it right on that spot, and then I'm gonna try to get right across from that spot on this one. All right, so I know like down here it doesn't match, but here it does. And then I'm gonna do it from the exact same spot on this side. And this is gonna be a little bit rougher of an estimate again, but I still think it's pretty good even though it's tilted if you do it this way. So, nope, it's not on there yet. All right, good enough. So like right across from there. And then for the top, it might be a little easier. I'm gonna go from this, I'm gonna look at this spot. So right on kind of that black edge to this edge right above it. And same thing down here. This little black edge thingy to this edge right below it. All right, and now it's giving me, look at that. Wow, huh. So the left to right centering is almost perfect, it seems. You know, that might be within a few percentage points, but PSA technically is supposed to allow for 40/60. So that's obviously should be well within. I'm surprised because it didn't look like the top bottom was so far off, but I guess now that looking at it, yeah, the bottom is fatter. Um, Now, would I still buy this? Technically, it's showing 42.58, so technically it should be within the PSA guidelines. Let me just look one more time. So right there, that black, right here, and that black. Yeah, it's still giving me the same. Okay. Um, borderline. I would look to see if there's better options because even though it should gem, or at least the centering should allow it to possibly gem. It's a little too close for my comfort, and there's some graders that might look at that and just say, based on eye appeal, that it's not centered, and it doesn't work. So let's keep looking. Here is an example of what I keep cautioning people about. This is not a real silver. It says silver, but it's not. It's a base, and if you're having trouble being able to tell, look at the back. If it was if it was an actually silver, it would say the word prism on it. And I'll show you where. Here's a real silver. If it was a real silver, it would say prism right here. So that's how you can tell, even if you can't see the shine. This one does not say prism right there, so it's not a silver. This is good data too, just to kind of see what's out there for a PSA 10, to see if maybe you notice that there's 5 of them up on best offer for $60, and maybe that means they're not selling well anymore. So let me actually just check that really quick, and then we'll get back. And I'll just see the buy it nows. I don't know why it's giving me so many. And then I'll go to price per shipping lowest first. Okay, so there's some sitting up there at 82, 85. I'm fine with that because I'm kind of looking to sell for 70 or whatever anyway. So this isn't really a red flag. Okay. Let's go back. All right, back to looking for the raw. And if I wanted to just get raw, I'm going to go minus PSA, and that takes anything PSA out of the search. If I don't want these discos, I can go minus disco. I'm also going to do minus fast because sometimes they call it fast break, and now we're really getting there. This was the fake one. This also looks like a fake one. Let's see. Yep, it's a fake one. It's so bad. It's so bad that people are... Oh, no. Well, they didn't say silver. I just got in my search result. That's annoying. Fake one. This one does say silver. And it's not. This looks like a real one. Let's take a look at this one. So I would look at this ungraded excellent. That can mean that there's a problem with the card. The next information I would look at to see if what that really might mean is I'm going to look at sellers' other items, because some sellers just put all their cards as excellent. And if that's the case, I don't necessarily worry about it as much. Okay, yeah, so they've got this thing as excellent. 2023 as excellent. Yeah, so they're just putting excellent kind of to cover their butt for everything. And I like that the seller doesn't seem to be selling any graded stuff. That's another thing you could look at. If they're selling graded stuff and raw stuff, it might mean that they're just grading everything they can and selling the stuff that has issues. But I don't see any PSA stuff. So I'm fine with it saying excellent on this seller. Although this one says near mint or better, but it's like a weird one of those multiple listings. Wait, let's just look at a couple more. Excellent. Older cards. I want to look at newer ones. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. So I'm not worried about the excellent with this seller. If the other cards were near mint or better, then it would be a red flag. The centering, again, looks good to my eye, but I'm going to do the edge grading thing again just to show you. And this one looks more upright, so less tilted, so it might work better for the edge grading. So again, let me go start fresh, centering tool, blah, blah, blah. And there's my image. And let's do that. Let's go from... this first kind of line, and sometimes it lines it up pretty nicely, and I went from the first line. That looks right. Okay, and then top looks about good to here, and bottom here. That looks good enough, and centering is perfect. It's beautiful. Okay, so centering is not a problem on this card. So going back, yeah, let's look at the back of the card. Any corners, any discoloration or anything that, this one's a scan, so you're not going to see any like shine or anything. This one looks really good. The back centering isn't good. It isn't perfect, but it's plenty good enough. You only need like 80/20, I think it is, for the back. So this is well within that. Not worried about it. And it does say Prism, right? This is a silver Prism. Yeah, this is a card I would offer on. I like that the shipping is only $171. I'm going to put an offer in right here. And so we saw that they were going for 5 to 9. Now, if I see a card that I feel really strongly that can grade well, and I feel pretty good about this one, I don't mind paying on comps or even a little bit above comps, especially on something this low. Like, if paying an extra $3 and paying like a little bit above comps is the difference between having kind of a more confident 10 and a 9, I do it all day, because in the end it's just worth it. Let's see. All right, so let's see if he accepts it or allows me to make a $9 offer. Okay, good. Offer sent. So there you go. That's how I would go about doing it. And thank you all for watching the video. Please give me a like or a subscribe or a comment, ask a question. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks, and have a great day.